It's not too late for you to get your hands on the Geekdom 101 special Dragon Ball Daima merch. If you want a shirt, you can get it in multiple colors, whatever color you think looks the best on you. It's fully customizable and sized. And if you don't want a shirt, we also have other variety of clothing as well as hats, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, and even mouse pads. Get it today, don't wait. Dragon Ball Daima Episode 2 has dropped at last. It's right now not only on Crunchyroll, but sometime today it should be popping up on Netflix. It's also available on Hulu, so you can watch the episode. I want to give you my thoughts on Dragon Ball Daima Episode 2. So Episode 1 ended with the big cliffhanger where Goma, Degesu, and Neba, the Namekian from the Demon Realm and the other Demon Realm inhabitants, went to the Mortal Realm and used the Dragon Balls to wish Goku and the gang to be first graders and for the kids to be even younger. And that's where we left off in the previous episode. This episode picks up where we left off from right there, which is the reaction of the good guys. I like how episode 1 put a lot of focus and time on introducing the villains and kind of gave us the story from their point of view. With this episode, though, we're switching and shifting over to it being about the reaction from Goku and the gang. And of course, this episode introduces officially to the series the character of Glorio from the Demon Realm. So that is what's going on and a lot more because we got a lot to talk about here. So first and foremost, before I started watching the episode, animator Yuya Takahashi, who's really well respected, he did several cuts on Dragon Ball Super Broly and Dragon Ball Super, including that phenomenal Goku versus Kefla fight. UI Goku versus Kefla. I think that was him that did that. And he basically said that he has an animation cut on this episode directed by Yoshitaka Yashima, who has done Dragon Ball going all the way back to the 90s. Maybe even before then. So that was already exciting because like we talked about before, the production of the show is something that just is incredibly top notch. And this episode was no different. I mean, we didn't get the reanimated shots from the Buu arc in this one at all, but we did get the intro to Dragon Ball Daima, Jakajan from Zed and CNK, and I will be doing a breakdown on that as a separate video to this one because now we have the intro and outros, and I want to do one on the outro as well because there's a ton of clues. There are a ton of clues, guys, and tons of stuff to theorize in the intro, giving us little glimpses of the future, and I'm excited. It reminds me of when Dragon Ball Super dropped and the TOP was coming out. Remember how everybody went nuts when we saw the female Broly, which was later on known as Kale, and everybody was like, wait a minute, are they really like making a character that's Broly but a girl? Like that, you know, and we were all like kind of trying to figure it all out, right? And then of course, the mystery bald guy, which turned out to be Jiren. You know, it's fun to speculate, so we're going to do that in a separate video. But when it comes to this episode really begins the journey. The last episode introduced the characters. This episode actually began the quest to resolve this problem. Also, a quick little Easter egg that I loved is that in the intro, the Jakajan song, they actually referenced Toriyama by name. They used his name in the lyrics in like romanized. You hear them say Tori Yama Akira, and that they don't say it right. Like what they say is Yume wa Toridori ya or na Yama nai Akira menai. So it's like they put the word Tori and Yama and then Akira because you know in Japan they say the last name first, and that's the first time ever in Dragon Ball in any song, whether it be a movie ending theme, whether it be an intro, that Toriyama's been referenced by name. That is cool. That is a very, very cool tribute to the man who we lost earlier this year. And watching this show, really, it hurts to remember he's gone because the creativity of the world and his humor, we're going to see more of the world later on. We see it a little bit here, like the Demon Realm specifically. But, you know, this show feels like 80s Toriyama had his fingerprints all over it. We know he did, and it feels that way. However, surprisingly, it wasn't all comedy. There was a little bit of comedy in this episode with Master Roshi, some fun things here and there, but I was expecting this whole episode to be like Goku and the gang just behaving as kids, being goofy and rambunctious, and they weren't going to get to the Glorio stuff until the very, very, very end. And the Glorio stuff is not at the very, very end, but it's in the latter half of the episode. But I was expecting more comedy. They gave us a little bit, but I think it's a good balance because I think a lot of Dragon Ball fans, I think a lot of them don't want this to just be a Looney Tunes type of adventure. I saw a lot of fans when the trailer first dropped a year ago talking about how it's Tiny Toons and stuff like that. There's going to be comedy in the show. Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, GT, Super, they all have it. But it's not going to be the selling point. Well, not the whole selling point. And this episode proved it because they had a chance to do it and they didn't. So after the wish is made, Goma's pissed off because he wanted to wish for that evil eye because the Dragon Balls dispersed. And he wants Neba to do the same thing in the demon realm, but of course he can't. And he can't do it on Earth either. So the balls are gone. Now, I saw a bunch of you guys in the comments and around social media asking, well, why don't they just use the Dragon Balls to wish themselves to be adults again? Well, Goma knew about that, so he kidnapped Dende and brought him to the demon realm, the baby Dende, to prevent him from making new Dragon Balls and giving them a chance to get their powers back. This is something I discussed in a stream a while ago, that they were going to do this, and this is now the second reason for them to go into the demon realm is to save Dende. The first one, of course, being to wish themselves to be adults again and to resolve this whole thing. So, and Goma straight up says we're going to use him as a hostage. The thing is, Goma, and some of you guys I've seen your comments, you pointed this out, he really is like Pilaf. Like the vibe really gives off like the goofy, short, Napoleon-esque type of guy who wants power, but he's also a goof. Like, that's Goma's whole thing. That's why I know he's not the final villain, because he's too goofy to be the final villain. One of the things they did also that was really clever is when Goten and Trunks are babies, you can hear their thoughts. Instead of them speaking, you can actually hear their thoughts. And that is hilarious. I think, wasn't there a movie back in like the 80s called Look Who's Talking, where it was like that, where you had like babies and I think Bruce Willis voiced the baby. And instead of having the baby speak, you could hear him. You could hear his thoughts. This is right out of that. So definitely something new for Dragon Ball and an Easter egg that I recognized immediately. Everyone shrinks at Trunks' birthday party except for Bulma's staffers that put the party together because they weren't the ones involved in the defeat of Majin Buu. Although I have seen some people say, wait a minute, if everybody gave spirit energy, gave Genki to the spirit bomb, shouldn't the whole planet have shrunk? I don't think it works that way, although that would have been interesting if they did go in that direction. Bulma is happy because her skin has become so smooth, which is foreshadowing for later on in Dragon Ball Super Broly and Superhero when we find out that she's been using the Dragon Balls to make herself look younger and get the Brazilian butt lift. So that's kind of a cool little prequel thing here where we know that Bulma's going to eventually, look at her skin and because she's aging, right? And it's all so because of the events of Daima is why Bulma was gathering the balls and wishing herself to look younger and have better skin. I kind of like that. So what happens is Kibito uses his teleportation technique. Remember, he has a teleportation technique not from the Yard Rats. His version of it's a little bit more powerful because you don't have to sense anything within Universe 7. Teleports Goku and them up to the Sacred Realm, the lookout where Kid Mr. Popo is at to greet them. And Popo tells them what happened. Now, when the Demon Realm is mentioned, the Daima Kai, the Supreme Kai, immediately knows what they're talking about because, well, first of all, we already kind of saw a little glimpse of it in the Buu Saga when Gohan fought Dabura, but he knows his brother and sister are down there. And Popo identifies them. Now, here's the part of the lore that I was not expecting. When Popo identifies the old Namekian as Neba, immediately Piccolo's like, wait a minute, I know who that is. Because remember, The Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z and late Dragon Ball is the reincarnation of Demon King Piccolo, so he apparently knows about this legendary Namekian that remained in the demon realm. So that means that this whole time, Piccolo knew that the Namekians were from the demon realm and never said anything. I mean, I guess there was no reason for him to say anything, and the Namekians on Namek either, but I love the fact that the memories of Demon King Piccolo triggered, his memory to remember this ancient Namekian from many, many years ago. But the way that Piccolo describes it, it's almost like Neba's the only Namekian left, because he says he was the legendary Namekian who remained in the demon realm alone. So there may not be any other Namekians down there, although one of the realms, the green one, looks like Namekians might be there. So we may get a surprise, and there might be more Namekians down there who also didn't go to the mortal realm. I found it funny that Kid Mr. Popo's voice was like super, super high pitched compared to like the Popo when he's an adult, when he's very, very deep. Popo-san, he got a very, very deep voice. Here he's like, they all have, like, their voices are all, chibified, if that makes sense. Nozawa, it's interesting because Nozawa's Goku in this episode still sounded a tiny bit more like adult Goku than Kid Goku from Dragon Ball. If you've watched Dragon Ball subtitled, especially as many times as I have, Nozawa's voice as Kid Goku is not the same as adult Goku. It's still a bit high-pitched as adult Goku, but Kid Goku's even more so. So she did deepen her performance a bit when Goku became an adult. Here, it sort of goes back and forth. Maybe it's because she hasn't played Kid Goku in so long, but then again, there's also the video games. She obviously just got done doing Sparking Zero. So, I mean, it didn't really register that strongly with me. We find out that the Supreme Kai, that Shin, has a spaceship, and he orders Kibito to go get it from the sacred Kai realm, the one where they fought Majin Buu at the end of that arc. Now, Supreme Kai says that long ago, and this is interesting, he came to the universe in that spaceship, which means that Supreme Kai is not from Universe 7. That is interesting, because based on Toriyama's lore about the Shinjin, that would mean that the Shinjin planet, which is where all the Kais come from, may not actually be in Universe 7. It may be in another universe, or it could be in its own separate realm. Remember, guys, there's lots of different realms in Dragon Ball. You've got the world of Void, where the TOP took place. You've got Zeno's realm. They exist outside of the multiverse. So you've got the 12 universes, but you've also got other realms. So clearly now we know that the Shinjin, probably the Supreme Kais from all 12 universes, come from a different realm on a spaceship. That's new lore. Once again, the first 2 episodes are jam-packed with lore for Dragon Ball Daima, and I'm here for it because I love Toriyama's lore. Now, I want to talk about the consequences of the wish. I have been telling you guys that if you want a clue about what's going on with this wish, play Sparking Zero. So if you play Sparking Zero and you pick Goku Mini from Daima, he can't do any ki attacks, right? And I said on a couple streams that if you pay attention to that, that's a clue about what's going on. So now this episode confirms something that I heard a while ago, and that is that when Goku and them become Chibify, when they become kids again, they have to get readjusted to their new bodies. Because of that, Goku has problems flying. Even flying is difficult, so obviously becoming a Super Saiyan, he can't just do it on command like he used to. He has to get adjusted to his new body. And I actually really like that. It's a very creative thing that the whole crew, Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, have to get used to their new bodies before they can fully use them in combat. We know they do get Super Saiyan because it's in the intro and we've seen it in the trailers, but obviously not right away. This is why in my early coverage of Dragon Ball Magic, I talked about how I wasn't even sure if there would be transformations in the show, because at that time, presumably, the information for the forms from my source, he didn't even know. He didn't know what the forms would be if there were any, but now we know that's because they're going to get the forms later. Now, they're not going to get them too late in the series. Don't worry about that. It's going to be, shortly. But I like this idea because it reminds me of when Captain Ginyu took Goku's body but didn't know how to utilize the body to its best, peak or use Kaioken. Because remember, with martial arts and Dragon Ball, this goes for Jiren style of fighting, everyone. It's about mind, body, and spirit. Your mind and your body must come together for you to utilize your body for combat. Something that Roshi taught Goku as well as Kami, and I like it. That's a very clever thing they did here, and it also depowers them, but in a logical way. I know some fans are going to be pissed about this. I get it, but it's not going to take that long for them to adjust. So Bulma tries to fix the Supreme Kai ship, and we find out that the ship was actually in good condition before, but was damaged during the fight with Kid Buu on the Supreme Kai world, on Kaioshinkai. So when Goku and Vegeta fought Kid Buu at the end of the Buu arc, right before, like a year, not a year, 6 months. This is 6 months after that. 6 months prior to this Dragon Ball Daima story, that is when the ship was damaged, so Bulma's going to have to fix it. There were a couple of still frames from the Buu Saga fight as well, and they did look great. So there's a 2-day time skip, and Goku's outside training, like sparring, like shadow boxing, to try to get used to his new body. Like I said, man, it's going to be quick. Don't forget Goku and Vegeta are fighting geniuses. It's also explained that not everyone with pointy ears is from the demon realm, just most people. So I'm glad that was explained, because that means that not everyone, people were asking me, is Supreme Kai from the demon realm? Is Garlic Jr.? Like, Garlic Jr. may be, because he's got that demonic, and the whole backstory from Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone. But I'm glad they cleared this up. I really am. Kibito also explains that a bunch of different civilizations left the demon realm, but at one point that was forbidden. I want to know who made that rule. Was it the Omni King? I'm very curious about that. That's something I hope we get answers to later. So Goku goes to visit Master Karin, and this is where he gets the Nioibo, the power pole. Original Dragon Ball revealed, and this is all tied into Journey to the West. Jordan and I talked about it on a recent stream of The Mandalorian, and we'll probably do a whole video about it, but the power pole, the Nioibo, is an ancient artifact that's supposed to connect the mortal realm to the heavens being, of course, where Kami is at. The dub called it the Lookout, the Japanese version called it the Sacred Realm, or the Heavenly Realm. And so the power pole connects the two. We see this actually play out in Dragon Ball, so it's still there. So Goku goes to grab it. So now we know how, well, we all kind of suspected it was going to go like this. Goku now has the stick to use in battle. Seeing Goku use it again, like you see him like spinning it in this episode, it was from the original trailer. Oh, it was so nice. Like this is why the whole Kid angle is being done, because the original iconography for Dragon Ball was Kid Goku with the cloud and the stick. That is Sun Wukong. That is Son Goku. So I don't think it's just to do a new GT, I don't think that was the idea. I think it was more so to take Dragon Ball back to like the beginning, where all we had was Goku with the stick and the cloud. Even though the cloud won't be used here, it's the original Goku. But of course, as the series progresses, we'll see more of the Dragon Ball Z stuff, like the Super Saiyan forms and things like that. So the show's going to have a lot of Easter eggs for fans of Dragon Ball Z and GT. And even a little bit with Supers. We already saw the Universe 7 thing mentioned, and of course the Bulma thing. So, but mostly I think it'll be Easter eggs for the fans of the older original run of the series. Piccolo reveals that the Namekians left because they don't like to be ruled. Right? Now, there's a bit of a plot hole here. So Piccolo explains the Namekians left the demon realm because they don't want to be ruled under the Demon King. But there's one part that I think some fans are going to think is a plot hole, and that is the fact that in the Saiyan saga, Piccolo didn't even know he was Namekian until Nappa and Vegeta told him, right? And then it was like a shocker. And even Kami comments on that. Like, he's like, oh, I guess I'm not from this world. I always suspected it. I think when Piccolo refused with Kami in the Cell Saga, right? When they refused to become the original nameless Namekian, the son of Katatsu, I think that unlocked the memory. So it could be a plot hole, or it could just be that because Piccolo and Kami were split for so long, they weren't one being again, and when they became one being again, they kind of remembered everything, which is why in the Buu saga, Piccolo craps his pants when he sees Kaioshin. You know what I mean? So that's my explanation. I'm not trying to cover up for bad writing. It may actually be a plot hole. I just don't think it is, because it makes sense. You know, when you fuse with somebody with Namekian assimilation, you do take their memories too. And you unlock a new person. So Glorio appears. Finally, a ship appears. It's Glorio. He introduces himself to the whole crew, and he asks Son Goku to go with him to the Demon Realm and defeat King Goma. Now, I'm a little bit suspicious of this, because while Glorio does appear to be a good guy, I'm not entirely certain, because he seems like a character that I wouldn't be, and this is not a spoiler, I would not be surprised if Glorio was actually secretly plotting to take over the Demon Realm himself and needs Goku to do it because he saw Goku was able to beat Majin Buu, right? So I think that there's a possibility he may be a secret villain. And if so, the foreshadowing is here, but also he may just want freedom because King Goma is, you know, somewhat of a tyrant. And so Shin says that Goma's very powerful and very crafty, and then Goku, brother, when you say, if you're around Goku and you say the word, that guy is strong, let's just say metaphorically, it's like if you're 15 years old and you go through your dad's stash of magazines and you find the one magazine you're not supposed to read, which, you know, happens to a lot of kids in the 90s. That is how Goku reacts, bro. The smile on his face, but well, the minute you say, oh, this guy's strong, Goku's like, what? You know how that goes. Glorio says that he was given the request to find Goku in secret, so he may be plotting with other people. There's a lot of mysteries here that, I guess we'll know later on. I just get that vibe. I could be wrong. Remember, a lot of folks thought that the Grand Priest was evil. Remember that? So let's not jump to conclusions, but it is possible. So they all want to go with Glorio to the Demon Realm, but they can't because it only carries 3 people. So guess who ends up going? Goku and the Supreme Kai. Goku and Kaioshin. A year ago, when I first did that stream where I revealed Dragon Ball Magic in September of 2023, I said that Goku and Supreme Kai would become kids again and join a guy with a gun and a girl with a sword, which would later on be known as Glorio and Pansy. At that time, my source didn't even know about Vegeta and everybody else, or at least didn't tell me. So it seems like that information was from super early in the series. So Goku, Supreme Kai, and Glorio are going to go to the Demon Realm, and then when Bulma finishes the ship, that's when Vegeta, Piccolo, and her will go down there themselves. And that's how the episode ends. So the next episode, we are in the Demon Realm, and we'll see what happens. The episode was good. It wasn't, this episode, like, nothing truly exciting happened. This is just all setting stuff up. So the first couple of episodes, like with any show, we're not going to get all the action right away. Right now, it's just setting up what's going on, and they're taking their time with it. Presumably in the Demon Realm very soon, we're going to get to some action, maybe even in the next episode, and get a bit more lore. But right now, it's all the foundation, the building blocks. So I can't sit here and say, like, you know, oh, this was extraordinary. It was a good episode with lots of good information and lots of lore. I think that when people go to the movie theater to go see episodes 1, 2, and 3 dubbed in November, I think that it'll sort of feel like a movie, because this felt like just the continuation of the previous episode and setting everything up for the future. Anyways, man, that's my thoughts on Daima episode 2. Leave your comments down below with your thoughts on the episode. Take care, and see you guys real soon. Lots of videos coming, bro. Lots on all this stuff.